Hey there everybody, in this video we're going to take a look at another bike in our stable, the 2016 Salsa Warbird. Hey there Pathless Peddlers, welcome back, and if you're new to the channel, if you're into things like bikes and travel, then definitely subscribe. This channel is for you. So jumping right in, today we're going to take a look at the Salsa Warbird. So for those of you that aren't familiar with the Warbird, it's positioned as a gravel race bike. I know a couple years ago, if you'd said gravel race bike, a lot of people would have laughed and said, you mean like a cyclocross bike? But the landscape has changed, and looking at the bikes coming out of Sea Otter, clearly gravel riding, gravel racing is a thing. So in real broad strokes, the Salsa Warbird comes in a couple different flavors, from carbon with a nice high-end build to aluminum with kind of lower-end components. And the one that we have is the Salsa Warbird with Tiagra. So kind of their most basic entry-level gravel race bike. So the bike is an aluminum frame, and the fork is made out of carbon. Its disc brakes uses BB7s with two different size rotors in the front and rear. The drifters are Tiagra. Unfortunately, the older versions where they were still big and bulbous and had that kind of ugly cable routing coming out the side. The crankset that they spec'd with the bike is actually an interesting one. It's a 46-36. So in some ways it has lower gears than a compact road because it has a 46 tooth instead of the 50, but in other ways it's geared a lot higher because the inner chain ring is a 36 and not the typical 34. In the back it comes stock with an 11 to 30 tooth cassette. Fairly high gearing, especially for bikes that we ride, definitely oriented towards stronger riders and faster riding. I think one of the most unique features of the bike is their rear seat stays. If you look at them, they're kind of long and willowy. Because of their design, they actually provide some in-frame suspension. It's fairly subtle, so if you're seated and you're pedaling and you're climbing, it's not bobbing up and down like you're riding a Brompton. Still fairly stiff in the back, but you will notice vertical compliance, as they say. So Laura and I are not gravel racers, but we do enjoy some spirited long rides. And for us, it's kind of the perfect road bike. It's definitely quick enough to hang with our fast friends. It's also great for kind of exploring forest roads. And although it's not optimal for bike packing, I'd say we have taken it on a couple overnight trips. On the bike, we've run both kind of your typical gravel grinding tires, but even tires as small as 28 millimeter when we're doing some faster road rides. So over the last couple of years that we've owned the bike, we've definitely taken it through the ringer. Most notably, a couple years ago, we did some gravel riding out in Eastern Oregon, and I absolutely destroyed the rear derailleur through some peanut butter mud. That said, other than the broken derailleur hanger, I was able to fix it later when we got home, and it's running fine again. So how's it ride? I would say that it's not twitchy like an all out and out road bike, but it's certainly a lot quicker and more nimble than, say, something like the Salsa Via. It's definitely designed to be stable on kind of rougher terrain. It's a great descender, and it also climbs really well. That said, there are a couple quirks that I think over time I'll probably swap out the components to better suit our riding style. So first off, the gearing, I feel for us at least, is a little high. So in the future, I'm probably gonna swap the 11 to 30 for 12 to 36, and maybe change the front crankset as well. But something that'll just give us a little bit lower gearing, so when we're doing those long extended dirt climbs that like we have here in the West, it can really just spin up the hills. Another concern that's not specific to the Warbird per se, but to all carbon, gravel, and adventure bikes, is the front fork. I mean, I love how the carbon fork kind of dampens the bumps, and it just feels really planted. But at the same time, if you've ever ridden through like really chunky peanut butter mud, then you know how it kind of grips onto the tire, and over time that actually abrades the inside of the fork. This happened to our bikes on a ride a couple years ago, and we ended up sending the forks over to Salsa for them to check out, and they sent it back and said it was fine. But in the future, you know, not just for this bike, for all kind of gravelly adventure bikes, it'd be cool if there's some kind of alloy inlay that you can put there. So if you do run into that peanut butter kind of mud, it won't abrade the carbon and cause any kind of unforeseen failure. They could call it a gravel guard, some kind of replaceable like inner inlay that protects the carbon fork. I did upgrade the wheels on my Warbird with these Rolf Prima wheels, and although they're a high tension, low spoke count wheel, they've been surprisingly durable, and I do find that they make me go a little bit quicker with a little less effort. So I know I just brought up a bunch of concerns and things that we change and what have you, but this bike is super fun, and it's probably one of our most well-ridden bikes. If we're not carrying stuff like commuting and we just want to go on a fun recreational ride, we will take the Warbird. So I think in conclusion, if you're looking for a road bike style bike that can handle mixed terrain, then definitely consider the Salsa Warbird. I know it's billed as a gravel race bike, and it probably totally excels in that genre if that's what you're into, but we found it as a super versatile all-rounder road bike, kind of a quicker, slimmer, sexier Salsa Via. So that's it for this video. If you guys have any specific questions about the bikes, leave those in the comments below, and if you found the video helpful, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and thanks for watching.